Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you today on this incredibly important day of peace building. I am incredibly honored to be a Rotarian for the last 12 years, and I can't think of a better organization in the world that is a place where we can converge this topic and actually converge the people that come from both the business community and the world of social services. My background, I grew up in a town area called Little Village in Chicago, which is known, which I call a little enclave, of a Latino community that's actually known for a lot of the negative reasons, and that, includes gang violence and drug violence and, academic underachievement, high dropout rate. And, growing up in that community, I was definitely on track and on a path for, being a statistic. When I was a sophomore in high school, I remember passing, my classes by the skin of my teeth. I actually missed 52 days at the end of the school year. And thank God my parents, took matters into their own hands and transferred me to a school called Jones Commercial, which changed my environment and connected me with people that were on a vocational track. I never forgot that, and moved on, went to college, and met a gentleman who had recently returned from the military. And when he returned, he started to have challenges with alcoholism and addiction. And thankfully, he had resources and was able to get help and go away and get treatment, which at that time, I believe, cost him like $25,000 to get the help that he needed. I actually knew a lot of people in Little Village that had that problem and didn't have that type of opportunity or pathway to recovery. And it never occurred to me that it was considered a disease until I went through this challenge with him, and I went through those rooms, and I understood that back in the 50s, the idea of addiction was considered a disease and actually was declared a disease by the World Health Organization and the American Medical Association back in the 50s. So fast forward, that had happened in 1984. We get married. He's living a life in recovery. I, by the stroke of luck, got hired to work in the field of finance. I clearly was not the typical person to work in the field of high finance, and the odds of me succeeding were extremely low. In fact, I was in an environment where there were bets being made that I wouldn't last 3 months. I ended up building a career, a very successful career, against all odds, and ended up leaving on my own terms 13 years later. The reason why I left is because I had, and my husband and I, in 1994, there was a 5-year overlap between us being in finance and starting a safe haven. We started in 1994 on a journey to realize that we had been extremely blessed, to have averted, going down that slippery slope that in both of our circumstances could have easily ended badly. Thank God it didn't. But it wasn't lost on us that we were blessed, and it was our burden now to give back and make a difference. And as we started to search and navigate the world of social services and what are the organizations that are out there at the time, they weren't as enlightened, I believe, as they are today. Back in those days, you found maybe a food pantry or you found a place where people could sleep at night. In fact, I went to Jones Commercial. I used to volunteer when I was in high school at Pacific Garden Mission, and I got to know the guys. I used to volunteer with them. So the seed was planted that, clearly there were people that were homeless for, reasons such as substance abuse. So when we realized also the dynamics at the time, what was happening is that HMOs started going public, and what they started to do is they started to cancel the 28-day stay. You've seen the movie, right? So when people had addiction issues, they used to go to hospital for 28 days, and when HMOs decided that that wasn't actually getting any kind of a return on investment or return on impact, that it was just something that they needed to cut and reduce the benefits basically to maybe a detox. And if you used your benefits, then you were SOL after that. So because we had gone through this experience, we knew what that meant. That meant that the system was really setting up for individuals that were suffering from these issues to fall through the cracks, ending up losing their jobs, ending up falling on hard times, getting arrested, and ending up a part of the system. And we knew that it was happening to people, not only for them, but generationally. So after starting to look at this field and realizing there was really nowhere that someone can go that was holistic, that was integrated, that was comprehensive, and can actually customize the services that were unique to them, we realized that maybe with our skill set in the business role, we can start investing in some real estate, maybe hire some people, and start helping a few people on our own. And that's how A Safe Haven got started. For 5 years, we personally financed this operation. It kept growing. We never did any advertising. We still don't. And today, we house about 5,000 people a year. The vast majority of them are coming to us from drug and alcohol-related reasons. Most of them are homeless. Most of them have criminal justice backgrounds. And I'm really proud to say that last year, of those 5,000, 800 of them were military veterans, 900 of them were children with their parents, and of those, we were able to employ over 1,500 people that were now had gone through our system where they got a physical, they got education, they got workforce development, and they got the opportunity to get their social service issues addressed. And what today we have is what I call a vertically integrated ecosystem that is designed to scale. We are at a very pivotal moment today. And I believe that for the first time in history, remember, I've been doing this for 24 years, I made a career in identifying trends early on and positioning myself to be in a place that could absolutely benefit or take advantage or leverage the opportunity to benefit those we served. And I can tell you for the first time in history, we have a moment where the federal government has declared the opiate epidemic, where it's viewed as a national emergency, where we have a chance now to really help influence a paradigm. And actually this week, or last month rather, the federal government approved what's called an 1115 waiver, which is going to allow for individuals that are suffering from these problems to go to the emergency room, get released from the emergency room, and be discharged to a place like ours, where they can get help, get the wraparound services, and help people land on a solid recovery plan for the rest of their lives, right? And on top of that, last week, we were able to get a bill passed called the HB 5868, which allows for private health insurance to also follow that paradigm, which is going to allow for people to get the health care needs that they need when they have a detox, an episode of overdose, to be able to be referred and discharged to a place that's going to teach them how to live in recovery. So these are really, really exciting times. We got the public and we've got the private side in terms of the healthcare being able to deliver and execute on that. That's amazing because we had been dependent on the federal government and state funding, and we all know how that's been in the state of Illinois. Robert Renteria mentioned, where's the outrage? We all know we went through a 2-year budget impasse, and for Health and Human Services, that was really bad news. So when we looked at this issue back in 1994, we knew that the system was setting people up to fail, and we knew that the consequences of that meant more poverty, more academic underachievement, more crime, more violence. And in order to reverse engineer that, we actually have to get to the root level. So that leads me to 2016 when the UN came out with the Sustainable Goals. And we were super excited to see that happen because 10 of those goals really align with the work that we do at A Safe Haven. So go back a slide. At A Safe Haven, we provide transitional supportive housing, behavioral health care services, life skill health care services, job training, vocational training, employment opportunities, not only through our own organization, through the businesses that we have. Many people know us for a landscaping company where we employ people to work. But we also have a staffing business that connects people to employment opportunities in the community. And we also have affordable housing, as well as, again, the businesses that employ them. So today we're going to be talking about some of the sustainable goals. And number one on the list is poverty, the number one human rights issue of our time. So with that, I'd like to invite our next speaker.